But I want to invite our CEO and president, Ryan Haga, to the stage to share a few words.
Good morning. Come on, you all. Good morning. Good morning. It is it's so gratifying to see you all, young people in this room. There is a thing that happens when you get a bit older for young people. Older folks tend to have a skeptical view about young people. They say such things as, these young folks just don't care about much. All they care about is social media, TikTok and Twitter and various Instagram and other things. And what I love about this moment is that you all, it is Saturday morning. I need you all from your seats. I'm looking at my teenagers, Trayvon and Sarana Bay. I need you to stand. Don't applaud yet. Because this has got to be real. We need some energy in the room. You're standing. The reason you're standing is because in a minute you're going to give yourselves a standing ovation. We live in a world where too often we don't celebrate our young people. And the reality is that you are not, as Asada said, just the future. You are now. When this ordinance was moving through the city hall, there was an older person who jumped ahead of the young people who were going to testify. And she took the mic first and she said something like, these young people want to lower the voting age. First, they have to learn how to read. Out loud. Then she went on to say something like, young people are not responsible enough to vote right now. And then our guy, Nate, raise your hand. Yeah. Nate was the first in a long line of young people who would testify in support of this ordinance. And Nate said something like this. He said, in the last school board election, just 2.5% of Newarkers voted. 2.5% of Newarkers voted. And then Nate went on, I think in one of the most cold-blooded moments I had seen, he went on to say, given that just 2.5% of people voted in the last school board election, he looked to the person who spoke first and said, respectfully, it's clear that we can't wait on other people to speak for us. And so I want to say in this moment, listen, last thing I'll say, in the April 2025 Newark School Board election, you have one assignment, and that is to make sure that you organize with other young people to ensure that the turnout of young people alone surpasses 2.5%. So I want to ask you to clap up in a way that you know you'll achieve that goal right now. So give yourselves a round of applause.
You excited about today?
Yeah, I am. I would love to present and speak to a lot of people about what I followed and what my pathway was to this.
And what was your pathway to this?
So it started in December, where we came with the GEM project and we looked at the presentation about the ordinance being passed about 16, 17 years to vote. When we came the first time, it wasn't really it was in motion, but it wasn't being passed, and it was still in jumbo. So when we came in January, that's when we came in and we presented on this podium and we spoke to the whole board about how we believe that 16, 17 years to vote, and the ordinance was passed that day.
So you're an advocate?
Yeah, I would say so.
How's it feel?
I mean, I feel like it's really empowering to speak for a lot of other young youth people in Newark, and it really just shows that our voice has power.
How are you going to get your fellow students to do something with this?
So as a GEM Project ambassador, we have candidate forums, and we're going to have a type of study group so we can have information and statistics we can give to students about why voting is good and how democracy, it basically is a lifelong process that if you start early, then it just continues with you. So when you vote now, you'll start voting for presidential elections and you'll be really civically engaged.
Brianna here is one of the primary champions. She testified in support of it. She's been everywhere with the governor on MSNBC and the New York Times. She just told my wife and I that she's applying early decision to Stanford.
Tell us how you got involved and what your involvement has been in Vote 16.
So I got involved through the GEM project. So through our advocacy work, we partnered up with the New Jersey Social Institute for Social Justice, and with that we were able to testify at City Hall. and the ordinance was passed, and with that we were able to, now 16-year-olds and 17-year-olds are able to vote now, so that's something great because it was something me and Nate right there, it was me and him. It was something we were passionate about, so now we are able to vote in school board elections, and our peers are able to vote in it too, so that's something great.
Why were you so passionate about it?
Because I felt that our school board, we should be able to vote in school board elections because it impacts our school, our education as to what decisions go out. So we wanted to have a say in what was going out and what was being said. So we decided to testify to ensure that our voices were heard.
What are some of the issues?
Some of the issues were, let's say, some AP classes weren't offered in other schools. We wanted it to be offered in many schools. I spoke to some of my peers from other schools, and the AP classes that I would have in my school weren't offered at their school, so maybe equity in education for all.
Vote 16 it's an international movement. We have it here in Newark, New Jersey, as we all know now, but it's been going on around the world, and in the United States, it's been happening in various cities throughout the country. It's a worldwide movement, and it's really, the idea is to enfranchise our most vulnerable, one of the most vulnerable populations, to have a direct say in issues that are directly impacting their lives.
The GEM Project has been in partnership with the Institute on this historic campaign because we've had our young people, Brianna and Nathaniel, who are part of the GEM Project Fellowship, and they came to be able to testify before the historic ordinance to be voted on to enable 16 and 17-year-olds to vote in school board elections.
So youth organizing is an actual process that is really powered by young people, okay? It's all about how do young people identify issues within the community and inspire their peers for collective action. So what are we trying to inspire our peers today to do? To vote, and why?
We're encouraging our youth to vote because, whatever the school board does, it does affect us. And so it's important that we have a voice in what, happens for us. And because whatever is for us, it should be biased. Yeah. So we should definitely have a say in these things. And it's important that all the youth know this.
On January 10th of this year, the city of Newark made history. That's the day it became the first city in New Jersey to lower the voting age to 16 for school board elections. And it became the second largest city in the entire country to do so. But that would not have been possible, and it would not have happened without the leadership and vision of then City Council President and now U.S. Representative LaMonica McIver. Yes. We were proud of Congresswoman McIver that day. We were proud to see her go on to become a U.S. Representative of the 10th Congressional District. I believe only the second Black woman in the state of New Jersey to represent New Jersey in Congress. Yeah. And now we're proud to have her join us today to share a few words. So please join me in welcoming to the stage Congresswoman LaMonica McIver from the 10th Congressional District.
It is so good to see so many young people here today energized about democracy. So many young people through our council member for the day, or if I'm traveling in my day-to-day talking to people about politics, about elections, they always tell me, you know what, I don't do politics. Politics ain't my thing. Oh, I stay out of that. I don't got no time for that. Every day, politics is doing you. Every day, no matter your age, no matter who you are, no matter the color of your skin, every day, politics is doing you. So, gotta start doing politics. Each vote is the declaration of your values, your hopes, your vision for your community. As we look ahead, I urge each of you to become active participants in democracy. Talk to your peers. Engage in discussions about the issues that matter, and most importantly, vote. I look forward to seeing each and every one of you who are able at the polls in April 2025. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you to the team.
So as you may know, Governor Murphy has been a champion of many pro-democracy issues, including voter registration options, expanding jury service, and restoring the right to vote to people on parole. And now he's putting his voice behind the reason why we're here today. So please join me in welcoming Governor Murphy for some special remarks.
As you all know better than I, Brianna, Nathaniel, and their team at the GEM Project played a leading role in scoring a major victory for our state's democracy just earlier this year. When I learned about them and their mission to secure voting rights for 16 and 17-year-olds in New Jersey, I was immediately intrigued. Because I can tell you from personal experience, it is no small feat to organize a political movement with either a citywide or a statewide reach. And that is especially true when it is a movement that has been mobilized to enact a proposal that no other state has ever enacted. And that's exactly why earlier this year, during my annual State of the State address, with Anjali and Yenjay right with me, I called upon our state legislature to pass this legislation this year so we can expand voting rights in local school board elections to every 16 and 17-year-old in New Jersey. So let's be also clear about this, and Ryan and I were talking about this before I came up here. They cannot win this fight on their own. It's an interesting thing. It's got a lot of people who would normally be staunch allies a little bit nervous. A municipal chair reached out to me a couple of days ago on Thursday and said, you know what? I'm a little nervous allowing folks as young as 16 and 17 to have their voice. And again, this is someone who's an ally in the cause for not just me, but for all of us. You, the young voters of America, have a chance to prove that you're not only paying attention, but that your voices and your needs cannot be ignored. You have a chance to force our elected officials to address the issues that are most important to you, whether it be voting rights or climate change or foreign affairs or anything else. With this election, you and your peers have a chance to change the course of our nation's history and the history of the world for the better. God bless you all, and thank you so much for having me.
You know, we really have two goals, two big jobs ahead of us in the foreseeable future. The first one is obviously for the folks who live in Newark, who will have the right to vote in Newark, is to get ready for that election, to make sure that you are registered to vote. You know, you're informed, you're educated on how the school board works, and that you also drive your peers to the polls. But for those of us who don't live in the city of Newark, we also, as Governor Murphy said, we need to give cover and support to our state legislators to get this bill through the legislature. And if not that, we need to grow individual local movements in our communities to pass ordinances. And so the rest of today's program is really geared towards that. It's geared towards making sure you have the knowledge, the skills, and all the tools you need to be the most impactful, effective organizer, activist, advocate, you name it, that you can be.
Now, Anjali, I have a question for you. So what inspired you to co-found Vote 16NJ, and what challenges or successes have you encountered during the process for lowering the voting age, especially in Newark?
So I love talking about this because I think a lot of young people resonate with my mission of why I kind of started pursuing this when it seemed very daunting at first. I was a very politically active high schooler, and I started this in between my freshman and sophomore year of high school. And I just noticed that our generation was extremely unique in how we approached issues. We were kind of forced to assume this specific passion for a lot of the issues that were going on around us because nobody was doing anything at the higher level to impact us and listen to our perspectives in a way that really resonated on the policy scale. So that unique perspective that I had of the young generation is really what drove me and continues to drive me every single day. I'm 19 years old right now. I can vote, but we're not going to stop until young people are able to vote. And there's also there are multiple other lenses to this. Turnout is what a lot of other previous speakers were discussing. As Ryan stated before, the Newark School Board election turnout was under 3%, which is extremely concerning. And if you look across the state, it's as low, if not lower. And the turnout is just getting lower and lower each year. And what this really tangibly means is that democracy in terms of our school board elections is at stake. They're anti-democratic, period. Because nobody who really has direct stake in these children's lives and these students' lives are actually showing up to the polls and actually voting and listening to these students tangibly. And this is what lowering the voting age to 16 will do. Students who have these unique perspectives, their day-to-day lives, where they're going into their schools, they're interacting with their teachers, they know the curriculum and how it affects them on a day-to-day scale, and they aren't concerned about their own futures. They now have the rights, in Newark at least, and hopefully in cities across the state of New Jersey, they will have the right to go to their elected officials, be respected by their elected officials, and have some stake in the game so that they can bring their concerns and their unique perspectives to the table. And finally, they'll have a seat at the table. So definitely we'll never stop fighting for this issue until all 16 and 17-year-olds will be able to vote. We're starting at school board elections, but local elections are our next step, and it is truly something that will revitalize democracy and really put that passion for civic engagement to use for young people, the rest of young people's lives in the state of New Jersey.
We only started working on this because of Angela Nyenje's enthusiasm, and that pushed me to do that legal research that was necessary to see if we could do this in New Jersey and if it could be done at the state level, at the local level. Because as Governor Murphy alluded, yeah, it's going to be a little challenging to get this done in every single city in New Jersey. People are skeptical. Town attorneys are scared to get sued. We were very fortunate in having the champion of LaMonica MacIver at the council, and the fact that we're here in Newark. Our office is here in Newark, so we know some of these people already. But I think once they see Newark the Newark students make their first vote out in April, I can see a world where this is gonna be a tidal wave of cities trying to do this. And the idea is that hopefully this will be throughout the state. But currently I'm working with a bunch of other young people in East Brunswick in particular who are very far ahead in their organizing and looking to do it. Montclair is also very interested. I know we have a few students here. Their council is already aware of the movement. So we might just have a few more cities join us very soon. But definitely working with the young people, and just, I'll be honest, when I was your age, I was nothing like this.
I really just want to spread the age around New Jersey and what we're working for here. So
You want a statewide organization, you want a statewide movement to get the vote. Is that right?
lower the voting age to 16 because I feel it's important that voices throughout New Jersey are represented. And that the voices of the youth who are directly affected by the choices that are made in politics. And I feel like it would also, now that children have access into a political space, that they will get more engaged in politics. Because I feel like an issue with people of my generation is that they feel like because politics isn't directly opened up for them, that they're it doesn't affect them, which is completely not true. So I feel if we open up the political space for youth by allowing them to vote and making it seem like a space that's welcoming to them, that they will become actively want to be more involved in politics.
Given all that you said, which was very insightful, what's the one big issue you would like to resolve using politics?
The effects of systemic racism within our environment. I live in Montclair, and I believe it does it is a suburban area, but it's racism is highly affected. Effect is in high effect. You can see it throughout the town. It's was it divide? It's clearly divided. There's different issues with drug abuse.
So, how did you get involved with this conference on 16-year-old vote?
as soon as I heard about the Vote 16 legislation and that it was possible that 16-year-olds would be able to vote in school board elections, I 100% was totally on board. So when I heard that this summit was happening through the GEM project, I was immediately 5 seconds signed up. I'm here. I've always had the passion to amplify voices, especially those that are historically unheard. And I was already doing a lot of school leadership in my school, and already had a passion for education policy reform in general. And I believe in the equity of education, and I believe that it's one of the first windows to society, and we have to invest in students as their students. And when they become adults, they'll turn around and invest back.
Do you think the grown folks, or those of us who think of ourselves as grown folks, are they going to leave you alone and let that energy grow within itself?
If I'm going to be honest, I don't believe they'll leave us alone. I believe there will be a lot of pushback. So unfortunately, yeah, I don't believe that it will be an easy road. But fortunately, however, I believe that it won't really matter.
I was at an event last week, and an older woman got up and said, young people don't take the vote seriously. She said when she was younger, her mother dressed them all up in their Sunday best, and she took them to go vote. When she voted, they went in the polls with her, and she voted just so they could see how important this was. And that was probably because then, at that time, that she was talking about the proximity to you not being able to vote by law, and the fight that it took to be able to get to vote was very, very, very close, right? So to folks then, it was so paramount, so important, so significant that they get out and vote, because they were voting for things, or making sure that not only did they wanted to show self-determination, but they were voting to prevent harm from themselves. They were voting so lynching could be illegal. They were voting so voting rights could be given to everyone, so the economy could visit everybody's household. 16, 17, 18-year-olds would climb the fence of high schools to get out of the high school while they're supposed to be in schools, just to march downtown in order so people can have the right to vote today. So there are many people who are voting today because of 16, 17, and 18-year-olds climbed fences of schools to protest so they could actually vote, who are now in the way of allowing 16 and 17-year-olds to vote. What's more important is, the things that are important to you, that we make decisions about every day, the books you read, the curriculum that's in your classroom, whether books should be banned or not, right? The cultural relevance that's accessible in the curriculum, right? The type of teachers that are put before you, the principals that school boards hire, the contracts that go outside of your community to other people that don't empower, employ, direct funding resources to people in your neighborhood, create jobs and opportunity. All of those things affect you. School lunch, which everybody talks about all the time, right? School lunch, all of these things that you talk about all day in class or in the hallway that most of us don't pay attention to or really take serious enough. It's important for you to get your voice heard in that. But more importantly, I hope this is a dress rehearsal. Hope this is an opportunity for you to get the practice of voting, that it becomes infectious and habitual, that you begin to keep doing it over and over and over again, like that kid, the mother who told me that her kids were that she was dressed up as a kid. Hopefully this is your dress up. This is your dress rehearsal to continue to vote always and encourage other people to vote. So voting by itself is not enough, but it's the easiest thing you can do to involve yourself in democracy, to make sure your voice, your concerns are heard. It's the easiest thing you do. Get up in the morning, go down there, pull that lever, push the button, write it on. You can even sit in your house these days and mail it in. I want to say congratulations to all of you in the state of New Jersey who are going to pull that lever, particularly in April here in the city of Newark during the school board race. I look forward to seeing the plurality that you guys create because you came out to vote. Probably be more of you voting than some of the residents of the neighborhood. So you have a real opportunity to be a swing vote here in the city of Newark. So I would say get together, organize yourself, pick a candidate, and make sure that candidate win, then celebrate like heaven to make sure everybody knows that they won because you voted. God bless you.
When we're involved in our own education and in the systems that affect us the most, then we're going to be engaged. We're going to be benefiting more from this education system. We're going to come back from the trends that have happened because of COVID, because of redlining policies that affect funding in certain districts. We'll come back from all of those things, and we'll be able to create a future of education in which the standard will just be better. And when that happens, people's eyes will turn, people's heads will turn, and people's votes will turn.
That's a fitting ending to a very long and prosperous day. Thank you, young man.
Everything's Political podcast is produced by the Center for Education and Juvenile Justice Incorporated. The narrator and chief consultant on the project is Junius Williams. The cinematographer for Series 5 is Brian Timmons, and the editor, Harry Kafka, Studio Mosaic under Francesca Dulce Larson, manages additional production and promotional efforts. We wish to thank the Turrell Foundation for its continued generous contributions that make the podcast possible. You can catch new episodes monthly and bonus content released weekly across YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. If you like what you see, please like, follow, and subscribe, and of course, stay political.